What's going on, traders? John with Tactical Trading here with our weekly watch list. This watch list is going to be kind of similar to the OTC Saturday video. Basically, over the past month and a half, really haven't been trading very many listed stocks. The OTC is where we've been getting the majority of our gains. And right now, I don't see that changing anytime soon. So that's kind of where we're sticking as far as with our trades and where we want to be right now. Where the money's working is, and as you know, about a month and a half ago, we shifted from OTC to listed stocks. That's because that's where we were making the money. Now it's back into the OTC. It's been that way for a while, and right now in the foreseeable future, I really don't see that changing very much right now. Now, there's still money to be made in these listed NASDAQs. Problem being is this. A lot of those stocks are one-day pumps and drops. Very good for quick day trades, but for a little bit of a less experienced trader, you're going to get killed doing that. If you watch guys like Warrior Trading and guys like that who trade very quickly and make a fortune doing so. He's a fabulous trader. Ross Cameron is an absolutely fabulous trader, but his style is geared towards somebody that has been in the markets for a while and knows charts very well. And it's if you're looking for a little more of a slow paced trade, something that you can buy, even for me, I can quick day trade. I enjoy doing that, but what I enjoy doing more is finding something and hanging on to it for a week, 2 weeks, and being more of a small term swing trader. I don't like holding things for months on end. I get too impatient for that. I've already been over that. But I've found that I've done very well switching my style up a little bit. Now, I will do some day trades. I mean, if I buy a stock and I take a big profit in it and I see a big profit, I will cut some off. If it pulls back and I feel real confident in it, then I'll add some more. But if I start breaking that 20-25% profit threshold, I will definitely start taking some profits and then add back on in the pullbacks just to book profits. And I think that's a wonderful strategy to take going into any of these OTC stocks. Let's use NECA Holdings for an example. This is a stock that I saw the countdown on their website back when they were in the trips, back in the 3 zeros. It was 0005. And I ended up buying a nice substantial portion of my holdings right there. And as I saw this starting to gain steam and gain momentum, I actually added to my position when I called it out for the challenge at 0.0013 and actually doubled my position there. Came out with about a 9 average, a 0.0009 average on that. Now, when this thing started running, I was like, I'm just going to hang on to it right now. And just let's wait till the reveal and hang on to my entire position. But as it started running and I started seeing the hard pullbacks, I said, why don't I just wait for a nice run, sell a portion of the portfolio, of the position, and then buy back at a little bit of a lower price. Even if I'm knocking up my average a little bit, I'm still booking profits. So what I ended up doing was selling a small portion in the 40s, a small portion in the 50s, and a small portion in the low 60s. Still have a sizable position. And then also when it pulled back to 39, I also added a little bit to my position because I do think going into Monday, we are going to get a push going into it. So I think that's the best way to do it with these OTC stocks. You get your starter position. If it runs real hard, you cut cut a quarter or cut half your position, and then buy it back on a pullback. Just like Minerco, mine, another stock we're talking about. I ended up getting in this thing a little bit late. It was in the low 20s when I got into this thing after a nice run out of the trips, and this thing ended up running into the 30s. So it went from the 20s to the 30s. I held overnight my entire position. The following day, this thing ran up into the 50s right on the open, and I ended up selling half my position into that run-up. Well, I was able to buy back in the mid-20s later in the day. So I got a 50% drop and was able to now have the entire position I had at the exact same price I had, but also with a couple million shares, I was able to make a decent profit up into the 50s and, a couple $1,000 and put that extra into my account. So that's a good strategy to go taking that mindset into these plays. I don't care what anybody says. You don't sell. You never sell any of your position. You don't want to move up your average. Nonsense. Average doesn't mean anything if you're not profiting. And if the thing dumps on you and you didn't take any profit, you get out for, you bail out for break even. Where's your profit? You just wasted time in that play. So I always am a proponent of taking profits when you have them. And with these plays, they tend to run. They tend to be multi-day runners, so you don't have to take your whole position off. You could take a quarter of your position off and then buy it back lower, or just leave it as it is and let it run. Or take half your position off and buy it back later, or leave it as it is and let it run. So that's just the way I like to play these stocks. We're getting in at basically bargain basement rock bottom prices here. They have a lot of room to run, and these are the stocks that have been running. So that's just a little, a quick little tidbit I wanted to throw at you before we started this video. But the first stock we're going to talk about, and this is the first stock on our watch list, this is Vita Mobile Systems, VMSI. This is actually a holding that we do have in the challenge portfolio, and this is another example of what you do when you have a position like this. I'm very confident that over the next week or two, maybe 2-3 weeks, this is going to be a very solid position. That's why I picked it up, obviously. And right now they're going through an audit that should be settled very shortly. And when that gets settled, I think this thing's going to run. It's very thin. If any volume comes in, it will push this thing very hard, and the chart looks fabulous. I ended up getting in the low 70s. And this thing pulled back into the 50s, very choppy. I ended up grabbing another 50% of my, so we'll just use round numbers. I ended up buying 500,000 shares in the 7s. It dropped into the 5s, and I ended up buying another 250,000 shares. Then it ran straight to straight to 90. I put a sell order for that 250,000 shares of my original of my second buy in the 50s. Put that up at 90. I ended up getting filled on the majority of those. I ended up selling like 222,000 of them, and so I have a little over 500,000 shares right now. But then it pulled back, so now I'm down a little bit on the position, but nowhere near where I would have been if I didn't take that profit up at the 90s. I figured when that thing hit 90, that was too good to pass up. It was actually the high of the day, and I ended up shaving off a little of my position. Now for the challenge in that account, I didn't sell any. It's too difficult in the challenge to do this, because if I'm alerting buy here, sell here, buy here, people are going to miss it. It's going to get very complicated, and I want to keep this as simple as possible. But as far as in my larger account, and also we're not holding 500,000 shares in the challenge account anyways, but just to keep it simple, but that is what I did. And even if you're in the challenge, that might be something you consider. If you buy a little bit of a larger position than we take in the challenge, or if you take the same position and this thing runs real hard on you, and you say, well, he didn't call the sell, but still I want to take a little profits here. Look what happened. That thing hit 90s. Now I could buy some back Monday morning for almost 50% lower than where I sold those, and still have the same size position, but also have profit in the account. Now, VMSI, like I said, this is a company that's actually going through an audit. And I think this audit should be probably completed right about the end right after the new year. I think this thing has a lot of room to run at 0.0059 where it closed on Friday. It was down slightly. I think this thing probably has about maybe a penny and a half in it. So, or about a penny and a quarter in it. So I think this thing can run up to about 0.0125. Right around that range, maybe even a little better. So we're still looking from where we're at. We're looking at quite a significant profit in this one. This is going to be a little bit of maybe a couple week hold in the challenge. I want to let this thing work. But I really like this thing going into this week. It's been very volatile this week. This is basically a bottom bounce IA play. This is an artificial intelligence play, and it was much higher before. Now it's starting to bottom out in the chart on the daily chart. And I really think there's a lot of potential for this thing going forward. And that is Vita Mobile Systems, VMSI. So I'm watching that one very closely this week. Any strong momentum or high volume coming into this play, this thing can take off. Second one we're looking at is a stock I haven't mentioned, and this is APYP. This is APYA Inc. Some of these, I don't even know how to pronounce the damn name of these companies. You know, a lot of these low price companies, like I always say, these may not be the best companies in the world. In fact, the majority of them are trash. But the fact of the matter is they move. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking to get into these stocks, take a nice piece of that move, and get on with our day and take our profits. These guys have done a lot in the last 30 days. Actually they closed on Friday at 0.0022. These guys have run up from the trips as well too, and they've got a lot of stuff going for them as far as getting current, attorneys letters coming in, possible merger acquisition coming up in the near future. This is a stock that I think, and it's being talked about a ton on Twitter. So this is definitely a play I'd definitely be watching first thing Monday morning. If this thing starts running, it can really get going. And this is one I would really keep an eye on. That's APYP. And again, they closed at 0.0022. Now, the third stock we're talking about is one we talked about yesterday. This is one of my favorites. This is Minerco. This is MINE. They closed the day on Friday at 0.0028. This is a stock, like we mentioned before, I made a little, shifted a little moves around on this stock when it was running. This thing has a propensity to run. I think it could run 100%, if not better, from where it's at. Tonight, they do have on CNN, and this is a Zoom call through CNN. I don't know if it's going to be on the network itself or just through the Zoom call, but it's going to be with Lisa Ling, and they're going to be talking about psychedelics and how they can improve with anxiety, depression, and different things like that. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't tell you how they work. I'm not a doctor, and nor am I running out here eating mushrooms, so I can't tell you if they work. But I'm looking at some of the reports on it, and it looks promising. So it looks like a lot of what companies we've talked about. I've talked about Revive Therapeutics, RVVTF. I talked about that back in June, back in July, and now this stock's absolutely taken off. MEND, Mind Medicine, MMED. I don't even know the ticker. I don't have it in front of me, so I'm just going off the top of my head here. But I know I've talked about them before. This psychedelic area is taking off. Not only is it a psychedelic play, but this is also, as I mentioned yesterday, this is a cryptocurrency play. This is also a CBD and cannabis play. They've got a lot in the works, and at 0.0028, this stock is an absolute steal in my opinion. I think this thing can touch a penny by the new year. I really do. With all the attention that it's getting, you have Kevin Mr. Wonderful from the Shark Tank getting involved in these companies. It's just a booming sector. In fact, they're in, like I said, the psychedelic sector, the cryptocurrency sector, and the CBD and cannabis sector. 3 steaming hot sectors right now. Everything's going kind of molding into place for this MINE. So I absolutely love this stock going forward over the next few weeks. I'm holding a rather large position in this one. And again, if this thing starts to take off, I may start, shaving off a little bit of my position as we go. But I'm going to be hanging on it to a nice bulk of this position going into the new year, because I think this thing has prospects to run for the next couple months. So I really like MINE. Now a play that I think has major potential. We did talk about them yesterday. This is ATVK. This is Ameritech Ventures. They were on the watch list a couple of weeks back, under 2 cents. Right now they're just a shade under 4 cents. They closed at 0.039. This thing has been kind of up and down, but if any stock's going to burst out and go 300-400%, this is the one right here. This stock has a tight float for an OTC stock. They're about to go pink current this week. As soon as they go pink current, we are going to start to see some PRs drop about the merger. They are going to be doing a merger. So everything is working in order for this stock. It's looking very good. They had the custodianship that I talked about when I called them out at 0.0088 about a month ago. Everything's starting to ride into place. Looks like this float is basically locked up. You see this thing making swings from the low twos to the high threes, back down to the low twos or the high threes, because there's just not shares available. I think a lot of people who are holding these shares are hanging on to them nice and tight because they know there's a big run coming in this stock. They know a lot of news is like basically on the verge of popping any moment now. Could be Monday, could be Tuesday, or it could be early next week. But I do anticipate something going on early this week. So ATVK is a stock I have a position in it. I've had a position in it for a couple weeks now, and I think this thing has 400% potential in it, and that again is ATVK. Now, the final stock we're going to be talking about is a stock I'm sure you're familiar with if you watched the channel over the past couple weeks, and that's NECA Holdings, NECA, formerly New America Energy Corp. Well, now they're NECA Holdings. Now, I have a theory on what's going to be happening tomorrow. But again, this is speculation. But this is going to become a holding company. And what a holding company is a company that starts as it basically, they own smaller companies. And the smaller companies, they don't get involved in the day-to-day business. They will obviously have a holding company, a bank account, they'll have a CEO, and then they'll have a majority portion or 100% portion of other companies. Now, they hire the CEOs of these companies. They don't get into the day-to-day minutia of running the business. All these smaller companies that are underneath them have their own bank accounts, have their own business licenses, has their own CEOs, has their own employees, have their own managers. But the holding company, kind of like Johnson & Johnson, as far as a holding company, Johnson & Johnson, they don't have a product that's Johnson & Johnson. These are all smaller they're a holding company and smaller companies underneath them. They're in medicine, different medication products, all kinds of different things that Johnson & Johnson's into. But that's the whole gist behind a holding company. And NECA, NECA, they will be a holding company for other companies. And I believe ONCI or ONCI, and a couple other companies that these brothers that are the CEO of NECA are involved in will be merging underneath NECA. It looks like they've reduced their share structure. Looks like they're aiming for NASDAQ. They're showing a lot of hints towards NASDAQ now. Is that going to happen tomorrow or anytime in the very near future? No. We're not going to be unrealistic here. But the fact is, them being a holding company and probably grabbing 2 or 3 subsidiaries before they go in, obviously shrink that share structure. I think there's still a lot of room to run in this NECA Holdings. And again, tomorrow will be the reveal, basically. We'll know more tomorrow. Right now, I am simply speculating, and I cannot stress that enough. I am speculating right now. But NECA closed at 0.00425. This is also a rather large holding of mine, and as we all know, if you're in the challenge, we called this out at 0.0013. So we called this out almost 300% ago. And we're still holding quite a bit of our shares in this. I haven't put the sell out for the challenge either, because I do want to wait and see what the reveal is tomorrow. I anticipate it to be good news. I don't think these these guys want to make an ass out of themselves. I really don't, because if they flop on their face right now, they will never be heard of again. Or every time they go to make a business move, they're going to say, "Well, remember that NECA." Let's not mess with these guys. So I really, it's not that I have faith in the management. I have faith in that they want to keep their integrity intact. So I think we have something here. If this thing may hit a penny, we don't know. It's had a lot of steam. It's had a lot. The chart looks eerily similar to TSNP back when this thing was running. Now, I'm not comparing the two. I'm just comparing the charts, and the charts are very similar. So. that's all I got for you here on this watch list. If I would to put these in order going into next week, I would probably say it's MINE number 1, ATVK number 2, NECA number 3. Then I would go APYP number 4 and VMSI number 5. As far as the order, I really like the potential of these things really taking off and flying. Now, NECA, this one could be the best one of them all. I mean, if we get great news tomorrow, we get some type of merger, share reduction, and all kinds of good news going into tomorrow, because we know they're going to be current tomorrow. That's already a catalyst as it is. But if we get a lot of good news tomorrow, this thing can run 200-300%. I mean, that's just the way it is, just like ATVK can. And as far as MINE, MINE, I think this is more of a gradual run up, but I really think this company has potential, and I think this is one to hang on to for a couple months possibly. So as always, please like, please share, please subscribe. Any comments or questions, put them in the comment section below. I would say Merry Christmas, but I am going to come out with something right before Christmas for you guys, so I'll save it for then. And as always, let's get that money, traders.